Hello and welcome back for Thursday Night Football NFL DFS slate breakdown, the Vikings at the Rams. I'm your host, Tyler Weeman, at FlatTyler83 on Twitter or on your DFS sites. Let's dig into this good old slate we got. But before we do, come join us at LineStar. $39.99 per month gets you access to all we do, all the props, all the DFS. You get it all, one low price. You get all the tools, all sports we cover, and let's get into it. As always, we are going to go position by position. Sam Darnold is the higher owned quarterback of him and Stafford. Both are pulling, 50+%. That is on. There we go. We're on DraftKings now. So Darnold, 73%. He's getting much more than Stafford. I would expect that evens out a little bit over the next, day or so. Stafford is surprisingly actually in the better spot. Quarterbacks have done better versus Miami than they have the Rams. Although the Rams haven't really faced a ton of good quarterbacks. Love did fine. Purdy and Kyler Murray went nuts versus the Rams. And then the other quarterbacks they face really just haven't had to throw that much. They've done fine. The defense isn't that hard to beat. But teams just haven't had to throw. And I would expect that there's a pretty good chance that Sam Darnold doesn't really need to throw that much. Teams have just been able to run a ton on the Rams, and I think that the Vikings are going to be able to do that too. Now, Darnold has Justin Jefferson, so he is the great equalizer on his side where the guy can score from anywhere on the field at any time. And with that, you always have to consider his quarterback, who's doing a pretty good job and really getting him that ball. So I'm definitely fine with going to some Darnold. I'm also fine going with Stafford. If this ownership was to stay, I would be on the Stafford side. But as ownership comes a little closer, I think it's really a toss-up which way you want to go. Stafford is going to throw more. Right now, the Vikings, 26th in DFS points to the quarterback over the last four, allowing 301 yards, 2.3 touchdowns per game. Through the whole season, it's not that much better. 22 is their ranked and 285 and 1.7 touchdowns per game. So Stafford is clearly in a good spot. On FanDuel, they're $500 difference, so very similar difference. The same kind of breakdown goes there. And on our defensive match tool, we do show that Darnold is in a much tougher matchup than Stafford. Stafford 21st, or Minnesota 21st first quarterback, whereas Rams are 5th. But like I said, Rams haven't really faced many quarterbacks that are that good or have had to throw. And that does make it a little harder for even adjusted defense metrics to really get a good read on what's going, especially when it's a small sample size so far. I think either play is just fine. Now, getting over to the running back spot, Kyren Williams has been an absolute beast and workhorse, and he's going to continue to be so, but this isn't the matchup for him. He's going to have to get it done through the air to really get it done. He's going to have enough of a workload where you can consider him. But I just don't think this is a game for a ceiling out of him. So I would be a little reluctant to put him in your MVPs or captain spot. However, his workload is there that he definitely could be an optimal play. Just, I would say it's doubtful for those captain or MVP spots. Aaron Jones, on the other hand, I absolutely love in this situation. The Rams have been giving it up. 121 yards per game on the ground to the running back. Comes in with 32 extra receiving yards. And 1 touchdown a game to a running back. So I definitely like Aaron Jones in this spot and will absolutely be playing a bunch of him. Now, you get into the backups. Blake Corum really hasn't been too involved. Ty Chandler, however, in games where the Vikings are controlling the script, he's been getting a workload 7, 10 touches or so. Did it against the Giants, 11 touches. Against San Francisco, he got 10. Got 7 against Houston. Close game in Green Bay, he only got 4. Got 16 versus the Jets, and then last week only got 2 in a game script that didn't go too well for him. So he is very game script dependent. However, touches are there if the Vikings are ahead. So it's one of those plays where it's a storybook play. You are using Chandler in lineups where the Vikings are crushing it. You know, the Vikings have a control of the game the whole way through. So that's when you're using him. Outside of that, I probably wouldn't touch him. CJ Ham, touchdown or bust. Ronnie Rivers really hasn't been touching the field. It is, and Blake Corum he's got to bust one to really be a deal. Same goes for the FanDuel breakdown, and then the team defensive breakdown. Rams 20th versus RB1. Aaron Jones is in a great spot. Minnesota 3rd versus RB1. So Kyren Williams is in a very tough spot, like I have already talked about. Now, getting over to the wide receiver position, pretty much so the big question is Cooper Kupp going to play? He practiced in full. He's off the injury report. He's going to play. Love Cooper Kupp in this situation. The other thing, Puka Nacua has not been pulled off IR yet, but he is questionable, so they could pull him off. I would say he probably doesn't play. Jordan Whittington is out. So the situation for the Rams is Kupp, Atwell, and Robinson are likely the 1, 2, and 3. And all of them deserve some play. I absolutely love Kupp in this spot, though. I think, if the Rams are trying to trade him, they are going to try and target the heck out of him and hope he doesn't get hurt again, just to show that he is fully back. I think Cooper Kupp's in a great spot, and wide receiver ones versus the Vikings have crushed. So I love Cooper Kupp. Vikings allowing 222 yards per game and 1.8 touchdowns per game to the wide receiver over the last 4. Cooper Kupp's in a great spot. Tutu Atwell and Demarcus Robinson are both lower-owned value plays that are firmly in play in this game. Justin Jefferson, I mean, we don't even really need to say anything. He is an absolute beast and can be used in any game. The matchup is okay. It's not bad. I would be fine with him in captains and MVP spots, whatever. Jordan Addison right now shows that he's getting a ton of ownership, and I would probably be fading this ownership a little bit. He's really only had those giant games when Justin Jefferson has been banged up. He did have a 2-touchdown game versus Green Bay, but it was on 4 targets. It's just not something really repeatable. Outside of that, when Justin Jefferson's there, you know, he just hasn't been a huge factor. And if ownership is this high, I would probably be off him and trying to go other places. I don't mind some Addison, but I would be underweight the field on him at this point. Then you can sprinkle in Brandon Powell, Jalen Naylor, those sorts of guys if you want, but they are fairly dependent on touchdowns to be optimal. And on to FanDuel. Cooper Kupp being 4,000 less than Justin Jefferson makes all the sense in the world to just hammer Kupp. Love Justin Jefferson also, but I think Kupp is in just an absolutely spectacular spot. And then Tutu Atwell, I think, is getting slept on. 10.5K, I don't mind going there. 17% owned is just way too low for him on FanDuel. Getting over the wide receiver spot, 27th versus wide receiver 1 is Minnesota. Cooper Kupp is in a great spot. Justin Jefferson in an average spot. We have Jordan Addison being an absolutely great spot, and that's probably why all the ownership is there. Everybody loves it, but hey, I just think it's too much ownership. It's not my favorite spot to go to, and I don't love it. Demarcus Robinson, Minnesota has actually been very good to the wide receiver 2 and to the wide receiver 3, Tutu Atwell could go off versus Jalen Naylor. Now, Tutu kind of could act as the wide receiver 2 with Robinson more as the wide receiver 3. That's kind of the role they've just kept him in, even though he's been playing a ton. So those could kind of be flipped there. But regardless, I do think it's an interesting play with Robinson and Atwell. And they're going to move him around a little bit anyways. So getting into the tight end spot. So the big news here is Hawkinson is questionable. He looks like a game time decision. If he plays, we probably won't know until an hour and a half before game time. But my guess is he would only be used situationally. So really you're looking at red zone play, and then key third downs or whatnot that he's in. Fine, I would have a little bit of him just because if he gets in a pay dirt, he is likely going to be needed, but I wouldn't go over the top. But if he does play, I'm out on Johnny Munt. I'm out on Josh Oliver. And then Kobe Parkinson, hasn't been that involved. He did have his 13 target game versus Green Bay in a game they were behind all game and really had to throw it. If you think that they're going to be down the whole game, you can absolutely play Parkinson. So it's a situation where maybe you play Chandler with Parkinson because both of them benefit each other. Or, make sure you're playing Chandler with the wide receivers on the Rams, just because there's going to be more passing in that game script if the Rams are down by a lot. Don't love the tight ends for this matchup on either site, and Minnesota's been just okay versus the tight end, 14th versus the tight end. Now, getting into defense, this Minnesota defense has been the truth. They put up 11 even against Detroit. It was because of a touchdown, but they still did it. They had 4 sacks. They forced a fumble. They're getting after the quarterback, forcing interceptions. They have multiple turnovers every game this year except for last week where they only had 1. I absolutely believe you can play the Vikings in this matchup. The Rams, on the other hand, I probably wouldn't get, too fancy with, but a pick 6 fumble for a touchdown can absolutely happen. I wouldn't cancel them out of your player pool, but I would be playing a lot less than I would for the Vikings. On to the kicker. Vikings, Willie Richard's been pretty good, consistent, getting it done, and I would expect the Vikings to be able to move the ball pretty easily. So Richard's firmly in play. Cardi, on the other hand, I don't know how long he's going to be their kicker. He missed a field goal last week, missed an extra point. The week before, missed an extra point. I think playing him right now is a little risky. He just hasn't been consistent. This game is at least at home, indoors. But, hey, the last 2 have been 2, and he's been missing kicks there too. So don't love Josh Cardi, but in showdowns, you absolutely have to consider the kickers and the defense and all that. That'll do it for us today, guys. Good luck. Let's make some money this week. Week 8 is here. I will talk to you guys later. Peace.